Good afternoon, traders. It's November 23rd, 2020, 5:20 in the afternoon, and I took a couple of aftermarket trades. And the main message in this video, of course, I didn't get to record them because I was on like a Zoom meeting type of thing. So I'm trading in the background again, which is always a little risky, but usually it works out pretty well for me. But today, not so much, but it wasn't so much because of the meeting. I had a big trade this morning where I made like 7.8% on the trade. And it's so funny because, you think that, that would always be a great thing, right? But man, it's so hard to forget about your previous trades, good or bad. No matter how hard you try, they're always in the back of your mind. So of course today in the back of my mind is I don't want to give back those gains, right? Well, that could be a double-edged sword because, for example, here on DPW, I pulled it up on the top gainers list in the aftermarket, and when I pulled it up, this move had already happened, which was really like the first good run of the aftermarket for this stock. And then it started to sell off, so I was looking for a pullback. I don't know what the deal with this candle is, but I just kind of ignored it because that doesn't make much sense. But anyway, probably just some strange orders that got filled there. So anyway, I'm looking to get in on this pullback, and I know, like, I could tell you that I felt kind of weird going into it, and I think it was all because of that previous trade, from this morning. I don't know. Maybe you guys can relate. But anyway, my entry was for the break of the 1 minute candle, and there was a double bottom here, which is a good sign that, the lower price is getting rejected and then this thing could go up. Plus, these bottoming tails show that buyers are pushing the price back up. So lots of good things, right? Then I get in at the 796 level. And, I acknowledge this area is, okay, this is going to be where my stop is, but I didn't really have it super clear cut. Again, part of that is the distraction of the meeting in the background. Which that's my fault. That's not the meeting, or that's not the trade, or whatever, or the stock market. But I should have been more clear cut on the stop loss before I even got in the trade. Which that has been like a recurring theme. Usually I'm pretty good about it, but you do it once or twice and it could really eat into your profits. So the proper stop loss for me would have been the break of the low of these candles, right? So they hit 782. So if I would have seen 781, I get out for sure, right? So what happens is I get in on this trade. Let me see if the orders are up here. Yeah, the first one, I took two trades. So the first one in the aftermarket was DPW. So I said I wanted to get in for the break of this candle, 796. I got in exactly where I wanted to get in, right? And then my stop loss should have been 781. Right, the break of that 782 level. So if I see 781, I get out. So what ends up happening is I get in on this candle, pops up, it gets me in, and it starts to sell off, and I start thinking, uh-oh, I'm in trouble here, I'm gonna give back my gains. And as it comes down, I just panic sell, and I sell out at 786. But that's nowhere near where my stop is. My stop was supposed to be 781. So what am I doing selling out at 786? Obviously, it's a panic sell. But if I would have honored my stop loss, I would have probably, almost certainly made money on this trade, because I definitely wouldn't have lost money, because what would have happened is it would have came down to 783, never hitting my stop of 781. And then eventually it did go up. And I remember thinking, I want to sell half at like a 1R level. So that would have been, let me see, 796, and the stop is 781. So 15 cents. I'm not sure if it ever quite hit 1R, but if I felt like the thing was weak, I probably would have sold out here. Let's see if it did actually hit that. So what did I say? 15 cents. So it would have had to hit 810. Did it hit 810? Yeah, it did. It hit 810. So I would have sold half at 1R and would have had a nice profit there. I only had 2 shares, but I would have had, versus the price of the trade, I would have had a decent profit. about 15 cents on that one share, and then I would have sold the rest when this candle broke the bottom of this candle, which is 809, and I got in at 796. So that's another nice, what is that, 14 and 9 13-cent gain. So altogether, I probably would have made about 25 cents off of this trade, but instead of making 25 cents, let's see what actually happened. Oops, where was it? Instead of making 25 cents, I lost 22 cents, right? All because I didn't honor my stop loss, but not in the typical sense that most traders don't honor their stop loss. Most people have the problem of they decide where a stop is, or they don't have a stop and the trade goes against them and they don't sell out. They just bag hold. But what I did today, out of fear of losing my gains, is when this thing started to get near my stop loss, I got out. So you can see how that worked against me. And as soon as you start changing your plan, like in the middle of the trade, that's when things start going wrong, because you start putting the statistics against you. Your plan and your strategy will only work if you repeat it repeatedly. If you repeat it on every trade, right? And always trade it the same way, no matter what you see happening. If the stock chops around on you, as long as it doesn't hit your stop loss, you don't stop out. If it hasn't hit your first sell target, don't sell. Because it can only do two things. It can either hit your stop loss or hit your target, right? So if it hasn't done either of those, there's nothing for you to do. You just have to sit there and wait. So that's the main message. I don't even know if it's helpful to go over the second one here. I kind of almost already forgotten it. But it was basically the same exact thing. I did the same thing again. All because I didn't want to give back the gains. And what did I end up doing? I gave back the gains. Almost all of the gains that I had on my first trade, which was like technically one of my best trades ever. And I was so happy about it. And then I just ruined it. So yeah, so here was another one where I'm not really in love with this entry, but I saw this thing run up. It was on the first run. I'd rather see like a pullback, but instead I got this consolidation. And I figured, well, if it breaks this level, there's a good chance that it can go higher. So that's what it did. It broke 158. So my entry was 159. I got in again, exactly where I wanted to get in, holding 11 shares. So that could be like a really nice win, or a decent sized loss if it went really far against me. But these candles were really small. They're like 1 and 2 cent candles. So again, when I got in this thing, I'm like thinking, I don't know, maybe my stop should be there. Maybe it should be there. I didn't have it very well defined. In reality, it probably should have been here, because these candles are so small that that 159 entry, the low of this candle is 155. So even if it was 154, that's a 5-cent stop. That's not a big deal. Granted, that's 55 cents with the 11 shares. But still, that's a really reasonable stop as far as the chart is concerned. And then let's see where my 1R, I was selling half the profit would have been 159, and I said 5 cents, so 64 cents. And it doesn't hit it here, but it hits it on the next move. I mean, just barely. But then it continues on higher. So if I would have been patient, I knowing me, I probably would have ended up getting out here thinking it's not going to hit the 1R, but still, that still would have been a winning trade. Not a very big winning trade, but a winning trade nonetheless. And what ended up happening was when I got in here, it went up a little bit, only 1 cent, so not enough to like take any profit. And then this candle formed, which was like a nothing candle, like no volume, and that's why it's a dash. And then all of a sudden it went from here to here, and I freaked, and I'm thinking about, oh man, I'm going to give back all the gains of that big trade that I had this morning. And it was near the bottom of this candle, which was one of the stops I was thinking about. But again, I didn't have a clearly defined stop, and that is so important for so many reasons. And so what happened when that level hit? I just freaked and got out. So on that one, I gave back some of the gains as well. So that one I lost 24 cents on, right? So you combine that with the, I had one winner and one loser intraday, which again, there was a better trade that I would have normally taken, and I didn't, because not on this stock, but another one that I was watching, but I didn't, again, out of fear of giving back my gains, and I just ended up giving them back anyway. I'm only green on the day 4 cents. I was up $1.07, which is a good profit for when you consider that my trades are about no more than $15 in size. I think this one was about $13. So I was up a good amount. And now I'm only up 4 cents. I mean, at least I'm not red on the day, but I didn't need to be red at all here. This one is debatable, but those aftermarket trades didn't need to be red at all. So I was 50 cents in the green for the day before I took those aftermarket trades, and I probably would have been up 60 or 70 cents, much closer to my original gain if I would have just done what I was supposed to and honor those stop losses, not get out early. So that's something that I really need to work on, and I'm sure there's some of you guys can relate to that. Trading with fear, especially, it's funny how you have a big win, and instead of that like boosting your confidence, sometimes you just feel like, oh, if I keep trading, I'm going to give it back. Of course, I could have had, I could have taken the option of, let me just not trade to, but that's stupid too, because if you have a strict plan and strategy, if you see a setup that you would take, you're supposed to take it, and you're supposed to do what your plan and your strategy tells you, which if I did, I would have been green over here. So those would have been good trades. And again, here, I let some opportunities go by that I would have normally taken because I didn't want to give back this loss. And this would have probably been green too. So, the psychology of day trading, that's definitely the hardest thing to get over. And your best defense is to, no matter what your last trade was, win or lose, to just stick to your strategy, stick to your plan, and let it play out. Don't go against it. Don't stop out early. That's it. Hopefully this helped you guys. Frustrating day for me for sure, but got to come back tomorrow and try it again. And not so much, it's not about trying to make money on these trades. It's trying to follow your plan and your strategy to the T, because you see, if I do that, the money will follow. It's when I don't do that I get into trouble and end up red. I can't think of too many of these red trades in the last 2 weeks. There were actually great setups that failed. Most of the time, they're either, a setup that I misread, or a time where I didn't really stick to my plan or my strategy. And actually, this should be yellow, because whenever I break my plan or my strategy, that's what I'm doing, so that I don't really count it against the plan. So again, sorry to talk your ear off, but these are really important lessons, and if we're not aware of them, we're just going to keep losing money when we shouldn't be. We should be making money. So anyway, have a good night, guys. I'll see you in the pre-market tomorrow morning.